The man who shot dead an Australian tourist near Raglan last year has been sentenced to life with a non-parole period of 15 years and 6 months. 33-year-old Sean McKinnon was shot twice at close range in the campervan he and his girlfriend were in. The Crown has called Mark Garson a brutal killer who's inflicted terrible grief on his fiancée and family. Our reporter Andrew McRae has been at the sentencing in the High Court in Hamilton.
Sean McKinnon and his fiancée Bianca Buckley were asleep in the van at an isolated location near the beachside town when Garson banged on the door demanding the keys to the van. While Mr McKinnon was looking for them, Garson fired a shot into the van, hitting him in the abdomen, and not long after fired again, hitting him in the head. Crown Prosecutor Jacinda Hamilton describes the offending as the most serious of its kind.
That this offending is properly characterised as an inexplicably explosive, violent episode during which the defendant repeatedly shot an unarmed man at close range and without warning in what was an entirely unprovoked attack.
She described the attack as an execution killing.
This was particularly brutal. There was a high level of callousness. It can probably be regarded as depraved, and there was real cruelty in the way that the defendant acted, first toward Mr McKinnon and then toward his fiancée.
After killing Mr McKinnon, Garson then threatened Ms Buckley. He pointed his gun at her, ordering her to find the keys to the van. She managed to escape, and Garson drove off with Mr McKinnon's body inside the van. In her victim impact statement, she said she was denied a chance to say a final farewell to Sean and watched his life leave him. Two of Mr McKinnon's sisters travelled from Australia to give victim impact statements, and other family members watched proceedings via video link. Emmeline McKinnon described her younger brother as a beautiful person and someone who would do anything to help people. She said the family's grief will never end.
And so my brother is gone, and where he was has become silent, and I hear this silence every day. I would know immediately if he was to step back into this world, but I know that he won't because he has gone and he has died, and we buried him. Sean meant everything to those that loved him, and yet his death was meaningless.
Another sister, Mary McKinnon, describes her brother as a happy and very cool guy.
It is not possible to write the beauty of Sean in a few words or convey the gravity of the loss. It is only having known him and having loved him and having been loved by him that you can really understand what was done. His presence made my heart feel full and smiling. His absence is ever present, it's aching and it's unsolvable. Since Sean has been gone, it feels like someone has blown out the sun.
Defence lawyer Charles Bean describes the killing as an utterly senseless act, but the Garson was on a methamphetamine binge and was intending to kill himself that night.
It's trite to say society in New Zealand awash with mental illness. We have our own epidemic of methamphetamine addiction, and it's that very addiction that placed Mark Garson on a fateful journey to a senseless act.
He says Garson started on cannabis at the age of 12 and meth at 15.
We know that he was on a binge of methamphetamine use. We know he was suffering from depression. We know now from the probation reports he has been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. And we know he'd made an arrangement with his friend to kill him that eve.
Justice Gordon described a number of aggravating factors in his offending.
Your actions were determined, but they were impulsive, not planned or premeditated. You had a firearm for a very different purpose, and when you were left by your friend, you acted in the way I have described.
Speaking outside court, Emmeline McKinnon said the family's happy with the sentence handed down.
It's a funny day because nothing's going to bring Sean back. We're saddened by that, but at the same time too, we've been looking forward to it. The Waikatos CIB that are standing here beside us, they've done a phenomenal job. I don't even know the amount of hours and hard work that they've put in.
Justice Gordon allowed Garson a reduction of 18 months on his non-parole sentence for pleading guilty and to take into account personal circumstances. In Hamilton for Checkpoint, Andrew McRae.